I can't wait to taste it. The one thing that made me want to try this was when Mary said that it's the best on grilled cheese sandwiches. I'm excited to see this bake up, and I just had to try it. So this is my copycat version of her walnut raisin recipe. We'll see how it goes. I want to welcome you to Stacey and All the Things. This video, we're going to be doing a copycat sourdough walnut raisin bread. It looked amazing on the video. I am getting this recipe from Mary from Rose Homestead. I will link her channel in the goodie box down below. We started out with 1 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of oil, and 2 tablespoons of honey. In this recipe, she used 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I went ahead and followed the recipe exactly like she has it in the description. She said that this recipe was just absolutely delicious. So I didn't want to deviate from it at all. You see, my sourdough starter looks beautiful. For this recipe, I was really happy with it. You see me flip the top of the lid there, trying to keep the extra inside the jar. It's a little trick. Adding 1 cup of sourdough starter. You know, there's something about sourdough that's really encouraging. I think it is an easy method. I like it actually better than using normal yeast. I don't know why, I just don't have good success. The sourdough starter is a little bit more forgiving. I'm having a wonderful time doing these little recipes that I see online. Using whole wheat flour. I've got some flour there, it needs to be used up. And of course, we're going to put in some Einkorn flour. I am enjoying Einkorn so much. I wish it wasn't so expensive. Everything's expensive right now. I added 3 cups of flour to this recipe. I did 1.5 cups of whole wheat and 1.5 cups of Einkorn flour. The little Danish dough hook, such a game changer. If you do not have one of these utensils, you need to get one. They're the perfect stocking stuffer. I absolutely love this. In so many sourdough recipes, the recipe calls to wet down your flour and let it sit for a little while, and then come back to it and work your dough. And that's what I decided to do. And so while I'm waiting for the dough to absorb a little bit, I decided to go ahead and chop my walnuts. For this recipe, I used 1 cup of chopped walnuts, and also I used 1 cup of raisins. You can see here the dough is really wet. It definitely needs more flour. I decided to go ahead and pour my dough out and knead it on the silicone mat. It really does need a lot more flour. Okay, look at this. This is something that really I wanted to mention. All of this food that's left in this bowl. When I watch cooking shows and I see people and they transfer food from one dish to the other, and they leave all this extra food that should be in the dish in the bowl, and they put it in the sink, it drives me crazy. That's food that they're washing down the drain, and they're being so wasteful. And I don't know why they do that. Do they think that if, they're not worried about that little bit that's left in the bowl, that it makes them appear like they have more, or there are people out there that don't have enough to eat, and to watch somebody just throw away food, it absolutely I just get so upset. This dough it feels really good right now. It was kind of fun to stretch it out. Got my handy dandy rolling pin. It really does work good. I'm just going to hang on to this little beauty. Doesn't take up very much space in the drawer. When I was putting all these raisins on this dough, I kind of felt like it was going to be a lot. After I started kneading, and it kneaded in so nicely, and then when I baked it and cut this bread, it was absolutely perfect. I think it was the right amount. You can see that dough is just a teensy bit too wet. And of course, you always got to spank it. Kneading is one of my favorite parts when I'm making bread. Now, I was talking about silicone mats. The reason that I love the silicone mat is that there's less bacteria. The kitchen counters get a lot of use, and even if you're going to clean and wash your cabinet or your surface before you cook on it, the silicone mat just has your baked projects on it. The dough doesn't stick as bad. They're easy to store. I really do love them. I see how the raisins are starting to poke through the dough. This really was the perfect amount. So I'm just adding my flour to the banneton. If anyone has done this where you don't flour it enough and your bread sticks to the cloth and it is such a huge mess, you always want to make sure that you get enough flour on there that it won't stay in the bowl. After doing a few recipes, I know that you got to build some tension. I'm trying to build tension here a little bit, but I do have a lot of flour on there and it's just slipping. I finally just give up and just put it in the bowl. A little more flour. You can tell I've had a batch stick. You just don't want it to stick. So I ended up putting some saran wrap on top. And then we actually took this with us to my mother's house and baked it there. Well, as you saw, working that dough, I probably should have added a little bit more flour. It was a little bit wet. I just kept up adding flour so that I could work with it. And then when I went back and watched her video, she was able to knead her dough and it wasn't sticky. So she had more flour than I did. All right, I turned this out of the banneton. I have a silicone sleeve here. And when I started to do a cut, it just kind of deflated. I'm not sure if it's because I don't have enough flour in it and it was kind of, it wasn't tight enough. It's been fermenting since 9 o'clock this morning, and it is now 6:30. That's plenty of time. So I kind of think it was because I didn't have enough flour in the dough to begin with, and it was kind of sticky instead of more tight. I'm going to go ahead and bake this and see what happens. I love the little ridges that it got from the banneton. That's really pretty, and I cannot wait to taste it. So we're gonna get this in the oven. I have a Dutch oven with the lid in the oven warming right now at 425, and I'm gonna bake it for 20 minutes with the lid on, and then 15 more minutes with the lid off. All right. It was hard to sit and wait for this to cool. I know you're not supposed to cut bread when it is just out of the oven. You don't want it to be doughy. The crust was delicious. It cut up pretty nicely. It was kind of hard to get thinner slices. Maybe if I let it cool a little bit longer. Everybody in the house wanted to taste it. I thought it was amazing. I did try a grilled cheese sandwich on it 2 days later, and it was good. So I definitely would do this recipe again. I think, though, with raisins in it, my brain was expecting something a little bit sweeter, and I might try putting 1 more teaspoon of honey in just to see what would happen, to see the flavor, how it would change. I could see also that you could put some type of cinnamon or clove. Wonderful. So that's it for this video. We'll see you guys in the next one. Remember to keep going and keep growing. We always have things to learn.